Now see here, right? See this diagram. What is happening? That by political way, you see that there is a creation of artificial boundaries between two people. In the cultures, you will see acculturation. Now, this policy of acculturation is that Britishers always felt that it is a white man burden, right, to spread knowledge across the race, and they always had this conception of racial supremacy. Okay, when we will be discussing this culture, I will also say that there is a debate between Orientalist and Anglicist. In Orientalist, the earlier Britishers they gave due importance to Indian Vedas, Indian literature. They were Indologists mostly. But the later one, Anglist, they always felt that English culture is superior to the Hindu culture or Indian culture majorly. Why? Because they wanted to create those babus, okay, who were wearing the collar and they were obedient towards the British government, that white collared bureaucracy at the lower level. So this is the policy of acculturation. Now, economically, there was exploitation of men and women and their territories for the benefit of the metropolis, for the benefit of their industrial revolution which was happening in Britain. What was happening? All the traditional agriculture was being exploited, because if you see in India, even the indigo revolts happened, right? Because these people, they were forced to grow indigo, right? And what was happening, that all the other traditional agricultural practices were disrupted. Colonies were forced to trade with metropolis, with consequent destruction of the craftsmanship. This will also will see that now we have already discussed in industrial revolution that was going on in Britain, and they had jenny wheel, they had steam engines, they had power looms, so they were able to produce a mass production within a very small time and efficiently, and therefore Indian craftsmen could not compete with them. Okay, apart from this, the natives or the people in the colonies, they had to pay taxes, right? If you see in any of the context, if you see in American Revolution, it happened. Why? Because they said no taxation without representation. When we are not a part of your parliament, why are you taxing us, right? No. Let's see over here. Because of this, consequences, revolts happen, right? Now, understand this. What were the factors behind this rise of imperialism and colonialism? Now, here is your Britain, and here is your India. Now, what they are doing, they are taking the raw material, right, from a colony, and here they are making, or they are manufacturing it, and again they are finally selling the product. Okay, finally they are selling the product or the finished products with a lot of taxation back to the original country. So they were doing this to sustain their whole process of industrial revolution. So first thing we see here, acquisition of the raw material from the colonial nation. And apart from this, the supply of labor in the colonies was very cheap. Even if you take the context of American Revolution, okay, you will see over here that plantation workers who were working, basically they were coming from the African nations, right? And the supply was very cheap. Development of transport and communication. In transport, we will see that mostly they develop the railways, and in communication, we will see that wherever Britishers go, they develop telegraphs. Now, in railway, what happens that they are able to procure the raw material from the hinterlands, right? That reduces the time, that reduces the logistics cost, and by this, what is going to happen? It will speeden up their industrial revolution, right? And communication, telegraph, canals, right? With coming time, we'll see postal services. All these help further strengthening their industrial revolution. Now, destination of investment. So, whenever they are making the products, right? Definitely, this whole manufactured products or the finished goods, it has to be sold in some market. They need some destination, and from where they picked it up, they sold it in that similar colony with a very high taxation, right? Search for the new market. So, another thing, apart from the same colonies, they were looking for other markets where they could sell. So, all these factors were there to sustain industrial revolution, and because of the industrial revolution, what happened? The Britishers colonial interest, they converted more towards imperialist interest. They saw when they came to India, oh, there is so much in India, and what did they do? They started interfering in the political rights, they started interfering in the administration. We see when Lord Cornwallis, he comes to India, right? You see that there are various settlement acts, permanent settlement, Ritwari, Malwari, right? And there's a Cornwallis Code by 1793. These are imposed purposely in India, not because they were concerned for the welfare of India, but their main objective was to sustain their industrial revolution. Now, apart from this economic interest, another major thing over here is that rise of extreme nationalism. We have already seen that initially we were coming from the Middle Ages. We saw from the feudalistic Middle Ages, right? The political society, it changed into the monarchical form of government. But after the Renaissance impact, the Enlightenment impact, right? After all these revolutions, the people of those colonies, right, when they came together from different places, they developed a concept of regionalism. You can say, this is my nation, this is my country, right? So, conception of nation state started from here. Right? This we will also see in the unification of, first of all, in Italy, and second in the Germany, right? And then what happens with this nation state? There starts the process of more prestige, having more prestige towards the nation, and when it reached the extreme form, ultimately we see that it took the form of extremist nationalism. So you can say that this race for extremist nationalism, which we will be further seeing in, first of all, fascism of Italy, okay, fascism in Italy, under Mussolini, and the second one of extreme nationalism will see under Nazism under Hitler. Now, this was okay, conception of national state was okay, but this conception of extreme nationalism, later when you will make the interlinkages, you will see that it becomes, okay, it becomes one of the causes of your world war scenario. Why? Because the nations will be fighting amongst themselves for more power, for more race. Okay. Now, what happens with the rise of the political consciousness with regard to the territory, nationalism or national greatness came to be associated with the idea of having a large empire by seizing the territory. Also, what happened, there was a myth amongst the Europeans that we are white people and we have a racial supremacy. Okay. And this myth of superiority, it was propounded by these English countries, and they had this conception of white men burden, which I was talking about, that we are the most civilized race. They had this concept that we are civilized people and it is our responsibility to further civilize the people in Africa and Asia. Okay. Now, display of power was another reason. What happened when I've already discussed economy is equal to empire. I've discussed in the class multiple times. What happens that with industrial revolution, ultimately people start gaining a lot of money, and with accumulation of money comes economic prosperity. And what happens that in many places, if there is no central authority to control all this power or prosperity, then what happens that every nation starts to assert itself as a powerful country. Now, this accumulation of more and more colonies, right, it became a benchmark to determine which is the most powerful state in terms of territorial control. You can say that this was a race of power or race of prestige. Okay.